Hello and welcome back to the Personal Trainer Portal podcast. We're on episode 49. Tell you what, we're doing well, aren't we?
You're absolutely flying is the one way to describe it. Yeah, I mean, we're nearly on the half ton.
Half, half a ton. Who would have thought back in July when we started this that we'd be this far through?
I wouldn't have believed you if you'd told me.
But here we are. Exactly. Today we're going to be talking. Well, you've probably seen our title of this podcast and you're thinking a bit weird, a bit different to usual. Goals, goals, goals. All right. So the reason we named it this is because when I've played football with Pete, he's never good at this. So I thought, you know what?
I'm going to jump in there. That's a load of rubbish. Over here, they call me like the Tenerife Cristiano Ronaldo, playing 7-a-side. I'm just, putting them away for fun. So that's a load of rubbish. I thought the title actually was to do with the amount of goals Leeds conceded against Liverpool.
So today's podcast, we won't get into football banter because there might be some people listening to this podcast who just don't care about football. So let's just not talk about football, I think. So anyway, on that note, what are we actually talking about today, Pete? Because I know people will be listening to this thinking, goals, goals, goals. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, so we're not talking about your fitness and nutrition goals for the year. We're talking about your business goals. So if you listen to this, there's a very high chance that you're a personal trainer on a gym floor, and we want to get into whether you have set any business goals for your business and any planning in terms of, have you got any targets you want to hit for this year, for the next year, the year after, or even any short-term goals? Because I think if we delve back to where some of the people that are listening are now, when we first started, we probably hadn't set a business goal between us.
No, I know for a fact well, the only goal I had back in 2015, 2016 was just to get more clients. That was the goal. That was the short, that was the medium, and that was the long-term goal.
I think my main goal was to turn up.
So for everyone listening, I tell you what Pete was notorious for. So over the road from our gym, we had a Costa, right? So let's just say he had a client at, I don't know, 10 a.m. Let's just say he had a gap as well before that. He would sit in Costa till 9:59, and then he'd quickly run over. And then his client would always be on the cross trainer warming up. I always remember that. They'd always be on the cross trainer. And you would like stroll in at 10:01 and be like, all right. But then you'd need
set an example.
And then you'd walk into the staff room, take your coat off, take your bag off. You've got your Costa, high on your caffeine.
If you cut me open, it would have been just caffeine that out of my veins.
So your goal was just to be on time, was it?
Well, also to make sure that I kept up to date with my shares in Costa, because obviously I was putting a lot of money into the Costa brand just to keep them afloat. That's why.
Yeah, I remember you were there every other day.
Oh, to be fair though, I got clients from that Costa.
I know, I remember you saying that. You know what? I can't ever remember you bringing in me and a drink.
That's because I looked after myself and my clients from Costa. I think I had, how many did I? Maybe 3 or 4 that I PT'd from Costa.
Was it that many? I remember you training the guy with he had like glasses, he had like brown hair.
Yeah, that's correct.
You could basically just say anyone.
Yeah, I trained someone with hair and glasses. Yeah, exactly. Clark Kent over there.
So why, like realistically, did you have any goals back then, back in 2015, 16?
I mean, it was simple. Put the hours in and get as many clients as possible.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, the both sort of came together, but yeah, it was just get as busy as possible, as quick as possible, and not really much thought into how really with that.
Yeah, there was no short, medium, long-term goals. There wasn't any strategies or structure in place, what you're going to implement to get to a certain point.
I mean, I wanted 40 hours.
Means necessary.
Exactly. Selling my body. That if that got me clients, I probably would have done it.
Yep.
That was the level of commitment.
And on that note,
we'll end it there.
So just to bring it back, what would you say business goals, and what do you think people who are listening to this, like PTs on the gym floor, what type of goals do you think people maybe not should be setting, because obviously everyone's different, but what type of goals can people be thinking?
So I think business goals as a whole, you've just got to think these are targets you're essentially setting for yourself, but not yourself for your business. Obviously, you're involved in your business at the start, you're a sole trader essentially, but it's targets, aims for your business. And we'll get into it further on, but the sort of way I'd propose you do that is from top down. So it's about sitting down and doing this planning. And if you do the course, don't know if it's too early for a plug, but if you do our wonderful PTP course, there's
Never too early for a plug.
never too early. And there's a really good module on goal setting and planning. I think it was me that recorded it. Yeah.
I think I edited it so my voice was over it. That's why it was like,
No, I think to be fair, you might have got one mention in there, just one. But yeah, no. So yeah, there's a good module where I get into, I think it's about 30 plus minutes long, where I get into that and we show you some of the goal setting and planning that we would recommend and we have done ourselves. So yeah, it's sort of working on, let's imagine, if you could imagine your business at its most successful and highest target 3 years from now, imagine that there, and then work backwards to where you are today. And then if you do it that way and fill in, if you imagine 3 years time, then work back to your 1 and 2 year goal, and then work back to your maybe quarterly goals, and then work back to your weekly and then your daily. You can see how it sort of adds flesh to the bone.
you're
It's sort of
taking
map-
you're taking like macro goals and then bring it down to micro goals. So
Exactly.
essentially what you're trying to say is you have your longer term macro goals, like 1+ years, and then you're breaking it down so that you know what you need to do month by month, week by week, day by day to get you to that goal. Because
Yeah.
it's all right having a goal, but if you don't have a way of getting to that goal and a strategy or tactics to get to that goal, it's more of a dream. It's more of just something which isn't actually going to happen. So, for example, me and Pete have goals for, we've said this in one of the early podcasts, we have goals for Personal Trainer Paul. We aren't just doing this podcast just for the sake of it, although it did start off like that. But we have business goals. We know where we'd like to be in a year and maybe in a few years' time, what we'd like to do. And we know that we need to do specific things month on month. For example, these podcasts, our free PT masterclasses, and our social media posts. We know we need to do that to expose ourselves to more people just like you listening to this, who eventually you can be someone who we can help. But if we don't keep doing this week on week, month on month, we are not going to achieve the goal. So relating it back to your PT business is that if you don't have a goal of getting to, I don't know, 15 clients and earning $4,000 a month, it's all right having that. But if you don't know exactly what you need to do to get there, then it's just a dream. How many times have you heard other PTs saying, "Oh, I'd love to be fully booked. Oh, I'd love to be earning this much." But then they say that every month and every year and nothing changes. It's because they haven't broken it down and they haven't actually whittled it down to the exact things which work every single day, every single week, every single month, and repeating them. Why would you say goals are important, Pete, mainly?
And because if you don't have goals, just to touch back on that example you said with PTs that we've talked to PTs and the same month have the same goal, or it's not really a goal if you just, it's pie in the sky. And I know that's a favorite of my sayings that you enjoy. Like I could say I want to be
Is it a mince pie or a corn? Like, what flavour are you talking about?
apple.
Apple? Oh, it's apple pie. Oh, we're going down the
Apple.
Oh, right, okay.
Just imagine in a nice sort of case, pastry, maybe lattice pie, golden. They've put a bit of egg wash before they've baked it.
People who can't see me, I'm licking my lips.
And they've got, unless you've hacked us, and they've got those sort of angel wings,
Oh, yeah.
feathery white wings. That's just flying through the sky. That's how I want you to imagine pie in the sky.
Right.
But yeah, like me, you and me could go, I want to be a billionaire. I mean, which is a wild goal. And that it really, if you just claim a goal out there and you don't really put any thought into it and trace it back. So being a billionaire, that's like the top of your mountain. That's top of Everest. But if you are sat at the bottom of Everest and you say, well, I want to get the top, you've got to work out how you're getting there. You can't just climb it in a day, can you? You've got to break it down. And what we're sort of suggesting here is to break it down, aren't we, into manageable chunks.
Yep.
And that's by, if you take the top of Everest and then as you go down, you drop into 2 years, 1 year, then into quarterly, then into a week, into a day. There'll be habits you have to do within those days and tasks that you have to do for you to get to the top of Everest, basically.
Exactly. And all these micro things, which have broken down more into monthly and weekly stuff, like you've got that goal you're working towards, all of these things have to be something that works. And you might be thinking, how do I know what works and what doesn't? This is where trial and error comes into it. Or you can save loads of time and effort trying to do it yourself. And you can get people who know what they're talking about and who've done it. Do you know anyone, Pete, who offer a solution on how to get clients and earn more money through a proven strategy and course?
I'm scratching my head a bit here. I feel it's someone I should know,
I do as well.
but I cannot put my finger on it. Bit awkward, that, isn't it? Portal?
That's the one.
All right.
I knew it. I knew it. It was on the tip of my tongue. So what I'm trying to say is you need to be doing all of these micro tasks every month, every week, but you need to be doing the things which work, because if you're not doing the things which work, you're going to be constantly trialing loads of different things which aren't working and wasting your time and effort, essentially. So what we teach and what we're trying to teach you are the things which do work. And this is why we talk about our conveyor belt system and how to speak to people on the gym floor to turn them into a client further down the line. And this is what we teach you within our 12-week PT transformation course. So if you want to know a little bit more information, shameless plug again, that's 2-in-1 podcast already, but go to the link in the description if you want to find out more. But to carry on what we were saying, Pete, what's the top-down approach?
So the top-down approach is sort of, I've gone early on this part of the podcast because I've sort of touched on it already. But if we imagine you are at 30,000 feet on your plane, that is the top, that is your goal, but your 3-year goal. So that is essentially, like I said, with everything,
Long term.
your long-term goal, that's at the top. You want to identify that big goal, that long-term goal first. And then, so that's the top. And then you work down to where you are now. That's the top-down approach, basically.
Got you. And what other aspects do you think people need to do to be able to set effective goals?
So I touched on it there, goals and habits. So habits are a massive thing. And if we take your training and your physique in the gym, your nutrition, if your goal is to, let's say, lose 5 pounds, or a client's goal, there's obviously, how to put it, there's obviously habits, but there's also actions that those or your clients or yourself would take to lose weight. That would be, for example, a daily habit if you're losing weight is to obviously eat within your macros or your calories, get plenty of water, get a gym workout in, or go for a run, or do some cardio, or get 12,000 steps in. Whatever those daily habits are, this sort of transfers into your business goals as well. But in terms of if you imagine your business as a person and it wants to get that physique, the physique in this example is a successful business. What daily habits do you need to do that then transfer into weekly, transfer into quarterly, etc.? So you can break that down, those habits, into 4 categories, which is body, balance, being, and business. So
Triple B, that.
So body, that is your physique and your, nutrition. So in order for your business to be in the best place, you'd recommend that you felt good within yourself, that you were, if you're in the gym and your physique is where you want it to be and you're training regularly and you're eating correct, you're going to be in a better place to help grow your business. So that's the idea of body. Balance. So balance is your well-being, how you're feeling, your hobby, your habits within your daily life. So whether you start a new hobby, whether you do a bit of yoga, maybe you start going to football like me and Ludes do, whatever it is. But that's just something away from your business, essentially, your daily habits. But if you look at it from a holistic approach, being that is about your relationships and how you are with your friends, families. Are you finding time for your loved ones? It's no good if you're just solely in business. You need a little bit of time away from that, which is something I was probably guilty of. And that'll guard against burnout. And then obviously business, that is your business goals, targets you're setting for that, essentially.
I tell you what, I feel like I'm in therapy.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're lying on a chaise lounge? And I'm at the top I'm on another chair with the clipboard.
PTs are listening to this and they haven't got any value. I think that they're listening. They're not listening properly, essentially, because we have spoken about a decent amount in regards to your goals with your business there. So as I said before, if you want to know a little bit more, you can go to our completely free PT Masterclass as well, which is linked in our description. And we're going to talk about exactly the system we use here at Personal Training Portal to earn more money, get more clients, reduce the stress of starting out in the industry. Have you got anything else to say, Pete?
Yeah, just to say that obviously we've gone into this a bit, but we've only really scratched the surface. I know from the course module that I did on this, there's a lot about within the module or the lesson on goal setting and planning. I go into maybe why, if you've set goals before, that might be personal and business ones, why you might not have been able to achieve them, which is really important. Some of the barriers and obstacles and how you react to, for example, maybe a situation is that you've set a goal of being more successful in your business, getting more clients, and the approach you took was to talk to more people. And you've got to talk to more people, but you've remembered you don't really enjoy talking to people. So that becomes a barrier or a problem. And that may be an area why you haven't hit that goal because it sort of contradicted the goal. So there's quite a bit about that in there. And just to say, we've only sort of really scratched the surface on this podcast because we'll be talking for a long time. But it's definitely worth getting more into it, and it will definitely help with having a successful business, getting you more clients, which is essentially why we do these podcasts, isn't it?
Exactly. We want to help you because we know what you feel like. We know what position you're in because we've been in that position as well. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Go to the description of the podcast to find out some of the various different links as we've spoken about just there. And thank you very much for listening, because that's episode 49. Like I said, we're on to episode 50 next. And yeah, cheers. See you in the next one.